In Texas, there is a law in the books that says it's basically a book banning law that Republicans in Texas passed last year, and it basically says, hey, if you are running a school library, you're not allowed to have any material in it that is sexually explicit, not okay for teenagers, which is their way of purging LGBTQ books and things like that. Well, a very interesting thing happened this week because the superintendent of the Canyon Independent School District sent out an email to a parent, I guess responding to a question. And there was something very interesting I'm going to share with you in just a second. Let me show you the law they passed in Texas first. This is House Bill 900. It was passed in 2023, but this is the version they passed. And you could see here, it's the top page of this right here talks about school library collection. Basically, what are you allowed to have in your library? And look at number 2. School districts have to include a collection development policy that A, prohibits the possession, acquisition, and purchase of you're not allowed to have in your library. And then look at, where is it? Roman numeral 2 there, or 2. Library material rated sexually explicit material by the selling vendor. Okay, so this is the bill they passed. Nothing sexually explicit, educationally unsuitable, pervasively vulgar. All right, so this is the bill they passed. So after that, this week, this superintendent of a school district in Texas responded to a parent who said, hey, I went to my kid's junior high and there was no Bible there. Did you all remove the Bible from your shelves? And this is what the superintendent, Dr. Daryl Flushy, I don't know. This is what he said. He cited HB 900, and look at what he said starting here. This standard for library content prohibits books that have one instance of sexual content as described above. Therefore, HB 900 doesn't allow numerous books, and then underlined in red here, including the full text of the Bible, to be available in the school library. This superintendent said, I'm sorry, we can't have the Bible in the school library because no sexually explicit material is allowed. And then the superintendent goes on to say, there are 30 titles available in our junior high library that are Bible stories or portions of the Bible. If you would like to review those titles, our library books are searchable online, blah, blah, blah. You can visit the link below. But look at the next paragraph. Additionally, if any student would like to have a Bible, hey, we have strong connections with local churches that are happy to donate a Bible upon request. We're more than willing to assist a student who would like to access a Bible by arranging this from one of our partnering churches. And I'm going to overlook the whole why does a public school district have partnering churches thing for a second here. But come on, it's kind of hilarious that Texas passed a book ban and this superintendent's like, okay, then I'll remove the Bible from the shelves because there's a lot of sexy sex in it. Because the way they define sexually explicit think about what's in the Bible. You have incest, you have sexual assault, you have allusions to bestiality, you have some hardcore stuff in there that is not supposed to be for kids. But it's not like a young adult novel where some gay kid is experimenting with the sexuality. And so the goal for Texas Republicans was to ban all the books about LGBTQ people, and the superintendent got rid of the Bible. But basically, you could tell why the superintendent wrote that letter. He's telling this parent, don't blame me. I didn't want to remove the Bible from the shelves, but the law made me, which is great. He's like, blame the law if you have a problem with it. And he's not wrong to interpret the law that way. Because if you take away the religious context, and I just told you what sort of stuff was in the Bible, actual passages, maybe where Lot's daughters get their daddy drunk and then sexually assault him, you would say, that doesn't seem appropriate for children. But Republicans obviously never intended for their book ban to apply to books they like the Bible. So now they got to do damage control, right? So earlier this month, there was a school board meeting, and one Christian parent, at least one, told the school board, like, you guys, the Bible has to be available for kids because it's the Bible. I wanted to play you one clip. She didn't sound as crazy as other Christians you've heard, but she basically didn't try to patch up the GOP created loophole. She just said, hey, everyone, we all need to contact our elected representatives to make sure the Bible can get back on the shelves. And then, this is interesting. This was this week? This is on December 19th, yesterday, as I'm making this video. A local news outlet reported that we spoke with the school district and they said, stop telling people we banned the Bible, basically. And look at this. This is what the local news outlet said. After receiving clarification from Representative Jared Patterson, who is the Republican who sponsored House Bill 900, we received clarification from him regarding library content, and we reevaluated the guidelines and are pleased to have the Bible available in each of our school libraries. Okay, so the school district's like, dude, why is everyone calling us? They're so mad at us. They think we banned the Bible. And the school district's like, blame the lawmakers. They're the ones that told us to get rid of the Bible. And they said, okay, we spoke with the Republican who wrote the bill, and the Bible's back up on the shelves. Okay, fine, but like, what did he tell you? Why is the Bible's sexual explicitness okay, but what? Young adult novels that have sex in it are not okay? Like, what did he tell you? I'm very curious. And this article didn't explain anything. And I was very curious what the hell happened, right? Because I want to know, how did they explain all that? Well, it turns out Jared Patterson, the guy who sponsored the bill, he heard that this school district had taken the Bible off the shelves. And he apparently wrote them a very angry letter on Wednesday of this week. And I want you to take note of a couple things. I'm going to show you this letter. He refers to his bill as a book ban. He uses the word ban repeatedly in this letter, and that's something Republicans avoided. They're like, we're not banning books, we just want sexual stuff off the shelves. We're not banning anything. Well, this guy's like, all right, now that the bill is passed, I'm going to call it a ban over and over. Take note of that. But he basically, in the letter to the school district, just blames the superintendent for taking the Bible off the shelves, even though his law said you got to take sexually explicit stuff off the shelves. Okay, let's go through a part of this here. This is the letter. Again, it's to the superintendent. It's dated December 18th. It's from Jared Patterson. And I'm going to scroll down to this paragraph right here. Let me be very clear. The Bible and other religious texts, he doesn't care about the rest of them, are protected under HB 900. Moreover, the Bible does not contain sexually explicit content as defined by HB 900. Any assertion to the contrary is either rooted in ignorance of state law or an open hostility to the will of the people. Like, hold on. Wait, we'll stop there. How does the Bible not contain sexually explicit content? If you are online right now, just do a Google search for the Bible and sexually explicit passages. And there are so many. There are so many descriptions of passages. There are so many actual verses that you should be disturbed by. Let's just do one right now. Here, I'll give you one. Ezekiel 23:20. That's always a classic. Here we go. Let me share this with you here. There we go. Ezekiel 23:20. I'll remove me from here. There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys, and whose emission was like that of horses. I'm just saying, if that passage was like in a young adult novel, I'm pretty sure Christians would be like protesting nonstop outside school board meetings. Okay, if that doesn't qualify as sexually explicit, what are we even doing here? You know what I mean? But let's go back to this letter for a second. Next paragraph. I honestly cannot grasp how you could arrive at this decision. Perhaps you disagree with our fight against radically explicit content in public schools. Not only is your interpretation of my bill completely wrong, but your decision to ban the Bible was likely illegal. Texas law clearly states religious texts must be available to students in schools. And then he goes on to say, there is a section in the Texas Education Code that says holy texts are allowed, basically. And he's some little part at the end. I've discovered you did not publicly post that you are banning the Bible as you posted about removing actual explicit content. Is there a reason behind your lack of transparency? Whatever. Patterson is so mad that a superintendent read his law and then said, all right, sexual stuff is out. Let's get rid of all the sexual stuff. And now this Republican's like, why did you take my bill seriously? You weren't supposed to. It was an anti-gay bill, not an anti-Bible bill. So let me show you what the Education Code says, since Jared Patterson makes a big deal of it. This is what the Education Code says in Texas. This is section 28.002, which is specifically the section he cited. And it says, for all public schools in the state, there is a required curriculum, and it has to include an enrichment curriculum that includes religious literature, including the Old Testament and New Testament and its impact on history and literature. So what Jared Patterson was saying is, this is already the law. You have to teach the Bible in school this way. But then last year, the Republicans passed this other law that said you got to get rid of stuff that has sexually explicit content in it. Now, there is an easy way to follow both of those laws at the same time. You get rid of the entire Bible, which has a lot of sexually explicit stuff in it. And if you have to teach stories from the Bible for like its impact on history and literature, you could say, okay, in English class, we're doing a unit on ancient mythology. So we'll study Greek myths and we'll look at the book of Genesis. You could totally do that. Now you are covering the Bible, you are doing it in a secular way, and you are not teaching sexually explicit content. So there is a way to follow both of these rules without anything hypocritical going on. And that is what the superintendent did. He got rid of the full text and he kept the rest of the Bible, whatever they used in the curriculum. And this Republican is so mad he figured out a way to do it. So this idea that the law already said you have to have the whole Bible in schools. No, it didn't. The Texas Education Code does not say you got to have the entire book available. It just says you got to teach about the Bible. So I don't know. This Republican doesn't seem to know what he is talking about. Not news, I know, but there you go. The same rules, by the way, the Texas Education Code say students have to be taught about the importance of mental health and suicide prevention and things like that. And I guess my question is, if there is a young adult novel that discusses mental health and suicide prevention, or let's say it included a main character who was exploring his or her body or experimenting with stuff. But the whole purpose of the novel was to say, because this teen had an outlet and because they were experimenting and learning about themselves, it was good for their mental health. And it actually decreased the likelihood this kid was going to do anything like self-harm. Well, which law do we listen to? The one that bans obscenities or whatever, obscene books? Or do we say, well, the Texas Education Code says that type of stuff is actually required? Like, which of those should take precedent? I have no idea because the Republican laws don't make any sense. But I wish Patterson would give a better explanation of which books are okay and which books are not. Because if we're going by the Education Code and not the stupid law that he wrote, well, I just made a case for why certain books with sexual content should be allowed. So I don't know what this guy wants. By the way, this is the same dude. Why the superintendent decided to remove the book, the Bible, the full text of the Bible from the shelves. Maybe it's because this dude, Jared Patterson, tweeted this over the summer. Don't worry, next session we're doubling down, including felony charges for superintendents who expose children to sexually explicit content. Your days of sexually indoctrinating minor Texans are numbered. Okay, it's a stupid thing to say, but even if you take this dude at face value, sounds like the superintendent should play it safe instead of sorry. So all the more reason to remove the Bible from the shelves because it has sex in it. Like, what does Patterson want here? He's literally threatening these superintendents with felony charges, possibly saying they should go behind bars. They should be found guilty of some crime. And this superintendent's like, well, I don't want that to happen to me, so let me follow your law. And now Jared Patterson's mad that people took him seriously. Like, this is the hypocrisy and stupidity of the entire Republican Party for you. So here's where we're at. We have a Republican-sponsored book ban that apparently carves out an exception for the Christian holy book and literally nothing else. I mean, I don't think the Bible should be banned from school libraries because I don't think books should be banned from libraries at all if there is a reason they might need to be out there. And I think important, critically acclaimed books, just like religious texts, should be available to students if they want it for whatever reason. I think that's a good thing. More access to more books is good. And if children are curious, even if they're curious about Christianity, yeah, fine, go explore, go read. But that's the difference between reasonable people and Republican zealots. We want students to have access to books with content that might make some people uncomfortable. Yeah, that's part of the package. They just want to create obstacles so students aren't exposed to anything they don't like unless it comes in like Jesus themed packaging. So incest and rape, for example, are perfectly fine to Republicans as long as it's surrounded by other stories of the Christian God as well. I don't know, you make sense of it. In the meantime, the headline here is a superintendent got rid of the Bible because Republicans made him do it. And then the Republican came back and said, that's not what I meant by ban all the sexually explicit books. And now everyone should be laughing at the Republicans. That's the moral of this story. Okay, I'm going to stop there for now. What other thoughts do we have out there? Oh, thank you, Mark, for that super sticker. I appreciate that. So they made an exemption specifically for their Bible because of special treatment. Yes, that is exactly what Jared Patterson did because he doesn't know what he's doing and he doesn't know how to write laws. He's just fighting for culture war bullshit. He's not actually trying to help kids. If I was a student aware of this case, I'd be the first one in the library finding those passages. I'd highlight them for the next student. Oh, yeah. And while you're at it, Carla, put up like posters with Bible verses. Like, find the most sexually explicit Bible verses you can and like put them up on a poster, hang them around the school. Don't tell people where it's coming from. Just say, like, yeah, these two women decided to get their father drunk and then assault him. And wait till Christians get mad about it, because you know who hasn't read the Bible? Most of these Christians. So they don't know where this stuff is coming from. It would be a great school project. I bet the Catholic Church misses the days the Bible and services were only available in Latin. You know, if they did that, Bill Donahue would be like, what? Why are you trying to prevent Catholics from accessing the Bible? How dare you? Thanks, Elizabeth, for that donation. Incest and rape in the Bible, okay. In Game of Thrones, oh my God, the devil. That's pretty much how it is. If it's in their book, everything's okay. If Donald Trump sells autographed Bibles, which is a thing he's doing, they're fine with it. But if like Chapel Roan did it, they would flip their minds. They would lose their shit. I can't do words today. Isn't the Kama Sutra a religious text? I don't think it is, but that would be funny. It's educational if you want to make that argument. So, can we petition the DA to press charges against Representative Patterson because he made a special exemption for the Bible? Obviously, it would never work, but I do want Patterson to clarify which books are okay and which ones are not. Like, you can't say, look, the old law said the Bible's okay, even though my new law says it's not okay. And how come the rest of you don't understand that it's always fine if you're doing it in the name of Jesus? All laws can be manipulated if you're doing it in the name of Christ. That's fine. That's the Republican motto. You can do anything you want as long as you just say Jesus 4 times along the way. Trump can break every commandment, but as long as he says, oh, yeah, I love the evangelicals, they're fine with anything he does.